This is Jun Hayami, a mangaka with a tendency to make himself look like a maniac. We don't know what he looks like, we don't know his real name, and we don't even know when he was born. Let me give you a hint about what kind of mangaka we're dealing with. One of his stories, in which he self-inserts, is called Even Though You're Just 14. Warning: I do not recommend seeking Jun Hayami's works. Any trigger warning that you can think of is present in the things he makes. But everything about this man is so unhinged that I have to talk about it. The way he backstabs himself with his own stories is like nothing I've ever seen. In almost all of Jun Hayami's works, there's a certain theme of depravity and crime. There are a lot of manga artists who write stories of that nature, but one thing that separates Jun Hayami from those artists is a recurring character in many of his works, Jun-kun, his self-insert. In all of Jun Hayami's works, the people who commit crimes look ugly and sometimes demonic, even when he draws himself. You might be thinking that his self-inserted stories must be completely fictional, right? I mean, that would make sense because if these things did happen, why would he show himself committing them in such detail? I agree that they cannot be completely true, but at the same time, they are not entirely fictional either. And to prove it, I present to you the craziest self-insert of all time. Even Jun has his blunders. I've gotten off at this station more than 30 times in the past 5 months. I walk 2 minutes from the station and enter the 4th floor of this building. The entrance fee is 1,000 yen. And who would you like tonight? I'd like to get Kurumi-san, please. That was the first page and a half. It already reads like an old memory, but bear with me until the last page. It's worth it. We see that Jun has fallen in love with a girl named Kurumi. This is the last day she is working here, and Jun wanted to be her last customer. Kurumi had promised him that if she ever quit this job, she would go out with him. But now she is saying she has someone else she loves, and that she wants to leave. At this point, all she can say to him is, "I'm sorry. Give it back. My 327,000 yen. If only I had that, I could have taken my parents sightseeing around Tokyo. But you enjoyed the time we spent together, right?" I love the panel in which Jun responds to her. Yeah. A long, empty panel with only him in it. Look at the loneliness in this panel. There is nothing he could put in that speech bubble that would be as tragic as that simple, yeah. How miserable it is. This so-called instant love. Love is supposed to be something that's eternal. It's been that way forever. You don't even know my real name. This conversation goes on and on until Jun kills her in the story. Before we reach the last page, we see one panel that I want you to remember for the end of the video. Not the dialogues, but this. You would logically think this is the end, but after that, there is another very unusual page. There is a terrifying letter directly to the real Kurumi, who he obviously has not killed in real life. And if I were her, the things he says in this letter would be a whole lot scarier than seeing a manga about someone wanting to kill me. Kurumi-chan, I've prepared a very nice bouquet I'd like to give to you as a present. I'm happy to say that I've thrown out all of my tankobons and cassette tapes, and that I still cherish the Valentine's Day chocolates you had given me. It's really surprising to think that it's already been 2 years, huh? Kurumi-chan. Or wait, your real name was actually San, wasn't it? I'm sure you're having as much trouble with rehab as I am, but as soon as we meet again, I hope we'll be able to finish what we started. I managed to find the Kichioji pub, but that's about as far as I'd gotten. San, I'm still looking for you, but don't worry, I'll find you soon enough. What the fuck? Not only did he drop the last letter of her real name, but he also doxed her location. Kichioji is a small neighborhood in western Tokyo. I believe there's some reality in Jun Hayami's self-inserted stories. Because of that ending, he finished the story a page earlier with him killing Kurumi. So if it's all fiction, why would he disregard everything that happened earlier and write a direct letter to her the next page, saying he's getting close to her? He could have ended the story with her leaving him and then include that letter. It would still be weird, but it would make more sense. There's nothing like this in other Jun Hayami stories. What I believe is that everything in this story, except for Jun killing Kurumi, actually happened, and that ending was probably just how he felt at that moment. He's saying you metaphorically killed me. Also, there are some details in the letter, like the Valentine's Day gift and some stuff about the rehab, that were not mentioned in the actual story. The other reason why I believe there is some reality in these stories is that when the things that happen in the story are just fiction, they are also fictional in the story. We see multiple times that Jun does some criminal stuff in a manga, but then it's revealed it was all him imagining it. So, if when it's not real, it's also not real in the story, doesn't that mean when it is real in the story, it is also real in real life? That's why I believe Jun Hayami's self-insert manga works are actually related to real life events, at least a little. Now keeping that in mind, I'm going to go through some of the things he does in those stories. You're gonna wish you stopped watching right here. In one story, he steals a detached leg from a car accident site to pleasure himself with. In another story, in which he's still very young, he hides behind the woman's bathroom and waits for girls to exit, and then he goes into the bathroom to... In one story, he sees a child riding a bike and dreams of turning to the seat of that bicycle. In another, he breaks into a kid's room to sniff her underwear, and when the girl enters the room, he steals the underwear she is wearing and runs away. In one story, he watches Mondo films and enjoys them a little too much. And in another, he dreams of being a school teacher so he can get them. Why would he self-insert as that? Keep in mind, I'm not even talking about the worst stories he has written. To me, Jun Hayami's works are a type of realistic horror that also happens in real life. He has started as an assistant. First, he worked for a shonen mangaka called Koji Kawate. Later on, that mangaka lost his life in an accident. Then he worked as an assistant for another manga artist called Kosei Seigo. Seigo-sensei went missing shortly after. I'm not joking, it actually happened. When he was asked about the people he worked with, he said, "Let's not get into too much detail about those two senseis. I'm just a bad assistant, that's it." If you look at the release dates of Jun Hayami's works, we see a huge gap in the 90s. From August 1988 to June 1989, Tsutomu Miyazaki, also known as the Otaku Killer, or the Ratman, took the lives of 4 young children, aged 4 to 7. There are a lot of great videos covering this case if you're interested. By then, Jun Hayami had been making manga for a few years, and seeing how closely the things Tsutomu Miyazaki did resembled his works, he quit the world of manga. In an interview, he said, "That incident made me realize something. I can't say careless things, and I can't draw careless works. You never know who is reading them." Jun Hayami wanted to draw impossibly cruel crimes that could never be committed in real life, but somehow, reality was even more cruel than his worst nightmares. After that incident, he spent about 7 years working as a salaryman, manga editor, porn star, and ruins excavator. Reading how he quit after that incident, you might think he just writes what sells, and he doesn't enjoy making these kinds of manga. Maybe he didn't know some crazy people were reading his works. But later in the same interview, he also said that there was a time when he ran out of ideas for his works. He had nothing to write. And guess when that happened? Right around when the Otaku Killer incident took place. So, was it that incident that caused him to stop writing? Or did he run out of ideas and stuff? I'm not going to judge, but he did return by publishing a new volume containing a collection of his best old works around the year 2000. He even wrote a new short story for this book. Jun Hayami, from what I gathered, never got engaged. When he was asked, "Have you ever been married?" what do you think his answer was? No, or rather, what do you think the worst answer to that question would be?
Marriage. Bloodstains. I choose the latter. I leave it at that.
What do you mean I leave it at that? Even the interviewer said, like the well-known character Jun-kun, you know, the character who has committed the worst crimes imaginable? I think it's a good part of the video for me to mention something. Jun Hayami, as far as I know, has not committed any crimes, or at least has not been caught yet. Of course, that doesn't make the things he has drawn any less disturbing. But despite how incriminating everything about him looks, he has not been convicted of anything. But then again, there is so little information about him online, so I might be wrong. Not so fun fact. Jun Hayami has more female fans than male ones, according to a 2016 interview featured in the book Eromanga no Gemba. I think it's safe to say I really don't like Jun Hayami, but unfortunately, sometimes talent reaches the hands of the wrong person. As much as I dislike him and what he writes, I have to admit that he has an uncanny ability to convey emotions through simple, empty panels. A dimly lit warehouse that gives this feeling of trouble, an empty bathroom that feels haunted, a train station that gives a deep feeling of tragedy and sadness. He can draw a pair of shoes and it'll look depressing if he wants to, or make the simple act of sleeping give the feeling of loneliness. He can tell the story of an innocence taken through only 3 panels, with no humans or words in them. and he can draw emptiness and despair like no one else can. I hate to give him this compliment, but when it comes to conveying negative emotions, he's the best. His works are violent and cruel. There are other mangaka who have written even worse things than Jun Hayami, but most of them write those things for weird people to enjoy, while Jun Hayami's works, not all the time, but sometimes, are made for people to see and feel the cruelty of the world we live in. This is going to be a sad experience for you, but in order for you to understand what I mean, I have to do this. There is something unique about this story. The man talks, but his lines are not in speech bubbles. They are in narration boxes, the tool manga artists use to directly talk to the readers. And unlike his other works, here we don't see the man's face. He kidnaps the girl to kill her, but in the panel where he's cutting the rope that takes her life, he's crying. It's like he doesn't want to do this, or he hates seeing it happen, but he has to do it. It's because, you guessed it, this is Jun Hayami. Not the fictional character of Jun-kun, but Jun Hayami himself, talking to us directly through his manga. The same Jun Hayami from Even Jun Has His Blunders, when he dropped the fictional character for just one panel. He said in an interview, "I draw cruelty because I hate cruelty. That's how it is for me. It's not that I love hurting people, but it's a way for me to rediscover the dignity of life. I think this is why there is innocence in the face of every woman he draws, and depravity in the face of every man. Or maybe he just sometimes writes the stories like this so people don't think he's actually a bad person. I don't know. I still don't like him, because I had to go through the hell that Jun Hayami's works are to make this video." Okay, so apparently a lot of you watch my videos at night. So let me end this one by reading you a bedtime story, written by Jun Hayami. Sayuri is beautiful, incredibly beautiful. Everyone thinks so, everyone admires her, girls and boys alike. Well, if Sayuri is beautiful, then obviously the same is true for me, Kaori, as well.
Huh? You have a twin?
I'm Kaori, nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Sayuri introduced me to Toru, a university student. You must be surprised.
You could say that.
However, there must have been some subtle differences between Sayuri and me, as far as Toru was concerned.
Kaori, if you don't mind, let's go for a drive this Sunday.
Are you okay with this, Sayuri? Sure, it's fine. Have fun.
What do you usually do on Sundays, Kaori?
Well, is it really okay? Sayuri. Me and you? My date with Toru was a lot of fun. It was the beginning of the springtime of my life. On the way home from our 10th date, an accident happened. I had forgotten to fasten my seatbelt, and as a result, I was catapulted through the air. I hit the ground, I was run over, and once the car caught fire, I was consumed by the flames. Toru, I hope you're okay. Sayuri, Dad, Mom, Hikari. Engulfed in pain, suffering, and the smell of my own burning flesh, I was shouting all their names. A few months after the accident, I found myself in my bed at home. I was still alive. Hikari is always by my side, always there to encourage me. When I look at Hikari, I can forget my loneliness and despair.
Thank you, Hikari.
But it's hard to look at Sayuri. She's as beautiful as ever, as beautiful as I used to be. I looked exactly like her. And now I am the old me, the new me. The old me, the new me. Toru, who had gotten away with only minor injuries, looks at me. Toru, don't look at me. If only I had been blinded. Toru left without saying a single word, as if he doesn't even feel guilty for having caused the accident.
Kaori-chan. Kaori-chan. I love you, Kaori-chan.
Memories of a happy past and delusions tormented me.
Toru. Sayuri-chan.
I used to be more attractive than Sayuri. That's why it was me he asked out for a drive. But what exactly was the subtle difference between me and Sayuri for Toru? My life and Sayuri's life. It's not natural that we should have separate fates. I rejoice in Sayuri's happy fate. As for accepting my own fate, will such a time ever come? Let's go for a walk, Kaori.
A walk? I can't. I can't.
Yes, you can go for a walk.
I can't. No way.
I'll carry you. I have changed so much, but the sky and the forest are still the same. Kaori, it's nice to be alive, isn't it? Before long, both Toru and my classmates stopped coming. Nobody came to visit me at all anymore. But I'm not sad, because Hikari is still here with me. There will always be light in the darkness. Congratulations, Sayuri. Happily ever after. I bless you with all my heart. This world